Hey everybody, what is up? Jim Surrill and Tanya Klein here from Coverage Inc., the leader in screenplay analysis, development, and editing services since 2002. What are we doing? Hey Tanya, what's up?
Welcome to Cat Central.
Oh my goodness, how many? We got about 9 of them there? Let's see.
At least.
We've got the black one, and then we've got the black one, and then there's the black one.
Yeah.
One of them just moved off, so
She'll be back. And by
Yeah.
the way, since the question was asked, her name is Gremlin.
hello, Gremlin. And the little one on the couch, that one is
Rodent.
rodent.
Yes.
I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew that. So Tanya, what have we got today? What are we talking
All right. Today we are going to talk about 10 terms screenwriters should know.
about? All
Aha.
right. 10 terms. Okay, well, lay them on us. What are these 10 terms and
All right.
why should we know them?
Well, first of all, and that's true for all of them, we should know them because they're being used in connection to a screenwriter. So you don't want to go, huh? So
Okay.
let's start with number 10.
Okay.
Busted.
Busted, like when you get arrested, right?
Like that.
Yeah.
Jim, do you want to explain what busted means?
Sure. Okay. So busted is an industry term used mostly by agents and managers and producers too. And it means when you have a piece of material that goes out into the marketplace, if it does not sell and there's no prospects for this piece of material, it is called busted, as in a busted spec. My rep from Gersh took out my spec. They sent it to 15 producers. Nobody bit. It's a busted spec. So what does that mean? It means that, well, there's still a possibility that something will happen with that script down the line, maybe on the indie side, or maybe it's something that, there's a passionate producer who really loves it, but just couldn't find anything to do with it in the moment. They just couldn't find the money. For whatever reason, it just doesn't sell. Doesn't mean that there's no future for it, but it generally means when something is called a busted spec, generally means that the agent or manager doesn't really want to do any more work on it. Now, if there's a possibility, of course, they'll follow up on whatever those possibilities are down the line. But if it's a busted spec and they've sent it to 15 places and nobody bit, they're not going to send it to another 15 places and say, well, we haven't tried these places, let's try that. That usually just means tested the water, it's busted. Boom, you're done.
All right. Number
Oh, there she
9.
is. Hello, Cat.
No, that's a different one.
Oh,
That's Callie, different cat.
hello, Callie.
All right. Number 9, baby writer. And no, we're not talking about a toddler sitting in front of the keyboard.
Baby Writer was that movie directed by the guy who did, oh God, the British guy. He did
No, that was baby driver, Jim.
yes. That's not what we're talking about.
No, that's not what we're talking about.
All right, what's a baby writer?
A baby writer is basically an inexperienced writer, a new writer. Let's not say young, because, young writer, that kind of implies ageism, even though it's Hollywood, ageism, very real.
Very real.
But a baby writer basically means a new writer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Someone who's just emerging, someone who's just breaking in or has not broken in yet. It just means someone who is green, who hasn't been exposed to the town, doesn't really have any connections. Nobody knows who this person is. Age has nothing to do with it. Although in Hollywood parlance, it generally refers to someone in their 20s. That's just the way it goes. Okay.
Number 8, a set and a polish. So if you are in a position that you're selling scripts and your agent or manager or lawyer is negotiating for you, often they will negotiate what's called a set and a polish for you, which means it's not like the producer just buys the script and says, okay, thanks, bye. It means you actually get to stay on the project for a set of rewrites and a polish.
Yeah, a little while. a little while.
Yeah.
Now, in the old days, it used to be two sets and a polish, or you'd get, you'd get your rewrite, then you'd get your polish, and then you'd get another polish or whatever. Basically, that's all gone now, and now you're lucky if you get a set and a polish. I mean, that's sort of the gold standard. Oftentimes, you're lucky if you even just get one rewrite. That's kind of the way it goes nowadays. Basically, it's because when they used to make those deals, that was guaranteed future money for the writer and guaranteed that the writer would be able to stay on a project for a longer period of time, thereby safeguarding to a point the material for the writer. But that also hamstrings the producer and the studio by saying, okay, well, we got to give this person this amount of drafts before we can fire them and hire the closer who we really want to bring in to polish this script. Sometimes what they do is they just assign you that obligatory set or polish or whatever it is, while still hiring someone else at the same time. They don't even tell you. They just have multiple drafts going at the same time, and they have no intention of ever doing anything with, the polish that you're working on right now. They're just like, all right, it's busy work. We got to pay this person off.
Exactly. Number 7, contained. Now, that's something you will hear a lot these days, simply because contained, as in a contained script, limited locations, not a huge cast, also means lower budget, which is something that everyone wants these days. So contained means it's a limited amount of locations and the cast is not tremendous.
Yeah, it's a buzzword, when you're pitching or when you're querying, if you use that term, people do like when you use that term because it tells them that, you're thinking like someone in the industry. You're aware of costs. You don't have these massive epic space battles that, will cost hundreds of millions of dollars, or, that you're hopping from country to country. It means that you're thinking like a producer. They like that. What they don't like is when you say it's contained and it's not contained. There's a lot of people who just throw that word contained onto their query letter, and then the producer's reading the script and they go, this is going to cost $50 million. How is this contained? So just bear in mind, contained generally just means a small handful of locations, very few company moves. That is key, because company moves are very expensive. And, no more than like 6 or 7 major characters, even 2 or 3 is really good. It just means keep an eye on the budget. Keep it as small as possible.
Exactly. All right. Number 6, naked. And by that, we don't mean without clothes. No, we mean without attachments. So, I mean, in the olden days, that would be done a lot more often, that you would send out what's called a naked spec. In other words, a spec that's just a spec. It's just the script, and your manager or agent is trying to set it up somewhere. Nowadays, that is pretty rare. Usually, they want attachments. In other words, a director and names, actor names.
Right.
So anything that has attachments is not a naked spec. A naked spec is just the script and nothing else.
In the heyday of the spec market, the 80s and the 90s, naked specs every week went out, and often, not always, but oftentimes they'd sell for real money, 6 figures, sometimes even $1 million or more. And then the packaging would begin. The studio or the producer would then look to see, who can we put on this project? Let's send it to Mel. Let's send it to Bruce. Let's send it whoever. And so, but now that onus has been put onto the producers, the managers, and the writers beforehand. The studios, they don't even want to get in. It's like, what's your package? Like, to even look at a project. Tanya, even on the low budget side, we have a horror project. We were told a year and a half ago or so by one of the companies that we approached with this project, who's your package? Like, they expect us to come in to them with these big name actors.
Absolutely. I mean, anyone who is trying to sell scripts or, raise funds for a movie does this nowadays. with a package. And
Yeah.
that, by the way, brings us to number 5, the package. So,
Package.
I mean, again, so the package is you've got the script and you've got the actors' names and you've got the director attached. So that's the package. And again, most entities, so to speak, will look for a package that will get the money to make the movie, that will get the movie greenlit, and that will later on sell the movie. Like we have a low budget script that's right now in with one of the big 3-letter agencies.
Yeah.
And the big 3-letter agency is doing the financing.
Yeah.
And they have an extremely specific list of names. And to all of these names, they have assigned a dollar sign. So, for example, off of this name, we can raise 1.5. Off of this name, we can raise 1.2. So basically, the producer has to do this little jigsaw puzzle, which means, okay, who can I get for, let's just for example, you want to be able to, for a low budget movie, okay, who can I pay 300 or 400K to, but raise 1.5 off.
Yeah.
Who is right for the part, who is available, who will the agency approve. So that is a very, very, very narrow bullseye. But
Yeah.
so these days it's all about the package.
And that's what we're dealing with right now, folks. So the indie life, I tell you. But when it does work out and it all comes together, it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, the package, they meaning whatever the financing entity is, always want the best possible package you can bring them, and that package may be different at certain levels. You're not going to get A-list actors attached to your $2.5 million movie generally, unless you're really well connected or you just happen to have a director who has worked with these people in the past and they all love each other and they owe each other favors or anything like that. And in which case those actors might attach or might work for scale or scale plus 10 or something like that. But for the most part, you're going to have different packages of actors and directors, that commensurate with the budget. So we have another video called "I'm Expecting a Package," and we will link to it in the description if you want more about that and how to put together indie packages and all that stuff. Okay, what's next, Tanya?
Number 4, a soft pass. So basically, a soft pass, sometimes also known as a consider with reservations, means, well, there is something here. Yeah. I like the idea. The writing has merit. There's lots of good here, but it's not quite ready. So that is what's called a soft pass. So again, great foundation, great ideas, a lot of good things, but it's not there.
Yeah, it could also be that it is there, but for whatever reason, the company that you've submitted to doesn't feel they can raise the money for it, or sell it or get it over the hurdle. It could be considered, maybe it's a tough project to market. Maybe the return versus investment ratio is not quite where it needs to be for that company to take the leap.
The package isn't what they needed to be. That happens a lot.
Yeah, exactly. But the good thing about a soft pass is the door is not closed. You can always go back to those people down the line if there is a new development that might potentially make them interested, which is another thing we're dealing with right now on another one of our projects. We'll talk about that down the line when we can actually announce.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Right, number 3, a general. And not one in the military, not one of those, a general meeting. Sometimes these are also referred as the bottled water tour. Yeah. Because, you go from office to office, you meet people, and they will offer you bottled water. So
Yeah.
hence the bottled water tour. But a general basically means your manager has set up meetings for you. Maybe he or she has sent out your script, and it's been well received, and they can't really do anything with the script, but they like the writing. So it's like, well, so just, meet with the writer, get to know the writer, shoot around some ideas. So that is a general meeting.
Yeah, and by the way, those are great. If you get those are great. It means that they responded to the writing. They can't do anything right now within this company. There's a million reasons why. Maybe one executive there really responded to it, or a junior executive, but their boss didn't. But the junior executive still likes the writing and wants to meet with you. Great, go meet with that person. The more fans you build up in town, the better. What often happens is, a manager or an agent will send out a spec to however many places, let's say 20 for the sake of argument, and everybody passes. Happens all the time, right? But you might get 5 or 10 meetings. Okay, great. So you go and you meet with all of those people. Sometimes these are Zooms. If you're in town, it's better if it's in person, because in person is always better. And you physically go there and you sit down for a half hour and you talk about, your projects, and you pitch them some stuff, and they try to see if you're a fascinating person, if they like you, and if they could potentially work with you, and if they're interested in reading more from you down the line. The point is to just build your network of fans, right? And then so when the next script goes out, you've already got the 5 or 10 people who you met with last time who are predisposed to liking your writing. They're definitely getting the next script, plus whatever people your agent or manager wants to add on to this pile coming up now.
Exactly. In short, a general is where you sell yourself.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. Yeah.
You sell yourself. Exactly.
All right. Number 2, baggage, and not the one at the airport. So baggage comes back to the package we were talking about before, because attachments that don't actually help the project are known as baggage. In other words, at some point somebody attached an actor that has done some work, and they figured, oh, that's cool, this person has done some work, awesome, I'll just attach this person to my script. Yeah, if that name cannot raise any funds, then that name is known as baggage.
We saw this just a couple of months ago. A script came in and it had a couple of actors attached. Now, these are actors most people have not really heard of, but you'd probably recognize their face. They're like character actor types, right? We've seen them in a lot of shows and movies and stuff like that. And they're good, solid, reliable people, and anybody would be happy to have them in their project, but not attached and not as one of the leads. Because if you attach X actor, character actor, to your story as one of the leads, this again, like you said, goes back to packaging. This tells the financing people this person is only worth up to a certain amount of money worldwide. That's the most this film is going to be able to do. It kneecaps your movie. So it's often better to have no attachments than to have baggage.
Absolutely. And number 1, CEs. Now,
CE, okay.
CEs. Now, CE stands for creative
executive.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are the people that read everything. Scripts, novels, short stories. The creative executive does a lot of reading.
And, they have assistants often as well in larger companies. And they're the people you really need to get to like your work and become fans of your work. And they're often the people you will have the bottled water tour meetings with. So if someone just throws out that term CE, now it's a development person. Some companies have lots of them, some have one, some don't have any. It depends on the size of the company and how well financed they are, and whether they've got a deal somewhere and what the status of that deal is. That's basically it. I've got a bonus term I'd like to throw in as well, Tanya.
Bonus term, yay.
Hip pocket. You've probably heard us talking about this in some of our videos. We've mentioned it before. Hip pocket is an industry term for when you get represented but you're not officially signed by the agency or management company. And that is actually a really good place to be. So what that means is that the representative, let's say a manager, in this case, they like your writing. Maybe they don't think you're there yet, but they're willing to roll the dice on you and spend a little time developing something with you. Maybe, a brand new script that they'll work with you on developing. That's fantastic, because that gives them skin in the game. And then at some point or another, when that script is ready to go, or whenever they feel you've got enough of a head of steam to present to their colleagues, then potentially they can bring you aboard as an official signed client. So in other words, you could be represented at an agency or management company and not appear on any of their lists. This has happened to me several times, where you're just a hip pocket, and that's great, because you can still get the person on the phone, you can send them emails, you can still work with this person, and they will still work with you. It's just for whatever reason, they do not feel they can bring you aboard in an official capacity at this time. It's still good, though. If someone offers it to you, grab it.
And that was it, our 10+1 bonus term.
All right.
All right. And of
So,
course, if you have any questions about any of the above or anything else, you can reach us at info@coverageinc.com.
And please, folks, hit that like button and hit the notification bell, because that tells the algorithm that we exist. And we will see you guys in the next video.